Okay, it is 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Hello, how is everybody doing? Today's webinar is going to be about ramping up your online sales. We know that for you, it's super important to start turning your inventory as fast as possible so that you have money in your pocket to put back on the street when your loan business picks up, which it will very soon. A few housekeeping things. The first thing is that I'm going to pass this over to Steve-O, and he's going to be doing today's webinar. At the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A and also a chat, so feel free to go ahead and post in there in either section, and I'll be moderating those two things and answering those questions as they come up. At the end, we'll have a little bit of time for a live Q&A, so if you have any questions, either about this specific webinar or even something that you've been meaning to submit a case about that you want us to answer, we can do that then. This webinar is being recorded. All of our webinars are being recorded and we're posting them both in the event on Facebook and also on YouTube. So if you have to jump off or if you want to pass this on to any e-commerce managers or any of your employees, you can totally do that. It's usually available within an hour or two after the webinar is over. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Steve-O. Steve-O is our level 3 tech. If you've been around Bravo for a while, then I'm sure you've talked to him. He is super passionate about e-commerce, about selling online, about posting pictures, descriptions, and he's going to go through it all with you right now. So thanks again for being here, and I hope you find it helpful.
All right. You guys should be able to see my screen now. All right, so one of the cool things I want to talk about is, maybe not cool essentially, but right now is the time to start listing as much possible, as many items as you can throw online. Now's the time, because in this current crisis, foot traffic in stores is probably near non-existent, and it might stay that way for a few weeks, maybe months. We currently don't know, but people are still shopping. They're shopping online. They're going to their favorite websites. They're going to Amazon. They're doing Google searches. So that part of the world is still functioning, right? And what I'm going to go over with you guys today are some key strategies to take in mind to take your online listings and make them as good as you possibly can, as appealing as you possibly can, so that when you encounter a customer on the internet that finds one of your items and says, oh, that looks cool, the price is good, then the increased opportunity of them wanting to purchase that item from you, because you probably are going to have the best deal for that item, especially because the pawn industry has a bit of a advantage over other retail platforms out there. Most of our items, if not like 99% of all of our items, are used, which means that we're going to be able to offer items at essentially discounted rates that people like Best Buy, Walmart, Amazon probably won't be able to sell those same exact items for, right? So today I'm going to be covering some aggressive pricing strategies. We're going to be talking about maintaining your listings' web titles, their web descriptions. We're going to go over proper photo taking techniques, and we're going to talk a little bit about the power of data and a little bit about Google itself. All right, let's get into it. The first thing I want to, show you guys is actually going to be in the items waiting to be priced section of Bravo. So let's dive into the items waiting to be priced real quick, and let's find an item. All right. Here we go. I have a pretty cool item right here. This is a guitar. So one of the things I like to point out is the fact that you can actually do some research on these items as you're pricing. So if I look at the bottom row here. You see these three buttons, the Google, eBay, and price guide buttons. The price guide, if I click on that, it's going to open up the price guide report, which will show you how this item is performing with the Bravo community. So you can look at other pawn shops who are also using Bravo, see what their data looks like, or how they're pricing this item. Right now, the thing I want to show here is this little chart here. It's the price guide over time, so that you can see how the price fluctuates with this item. And I can see some price points that have occurred in the past. But that's just one thing. So let's take a look at that item on eBay real quick. If I click on that, it's going to do a quick Google search for that same exact item on eBay. That way I can take a quick glance and look, how is this item selling for on eBay? And if I want, I can even go step further and check out Google. What is Google pricing this item at? And then if I want to be a little bit more advantageous, I can go to the all section and see if I can find this same exact item on Amazon. And I bet if I scroll down a little bit, one of the first things I'll find is an Amazon link. Get rid of that. Probably gonna be, oh, I'm surprised. Well, that's okay. Let's just go to Amazon and look. That's a similar guitar, not necessarily the same one. But we could probably see that this kind of guitar would probably sell for about $200 on Amazon. I swear, I just found this. This is essentially a similar model, not necessarily the same exact edition, but we can see it's selling for roughly 180 to probably 200 bucks on Amazon. So now let's go back to Bravo and take a quick moment to think about some of our data points. So our cost, i.e. how much money we have invested into this item, is way higher than what we were seeing online. But our price is only a little bit higher than that. Now, when pricing these items, we want to kind of gauge, how is this performing on other retail sites, and how can I be the most competitive when dealing with these items? So obviously this item isn't real, but if it was, let's say I actually have $100 cost in it and my original price is $350. If I have $100 into this item, and I'm looking online and I see it selling for 200, 250, 180, in that price range, I know that with the right strategy, I can be a bit more aggressive with my pricing structure, right? So why not price this at like 150, right? Because I've only got $100 invested into it. And one of the core things I like to ask people is, why does a pawnbroker sell inventory? A lot of people actually have a hard time with that, surprisingly. In my perspective, the core reason a pawnbroker wants to sell inventory online or in store at all is to essentially recoup the cost or recoup the money that they lost in the loan, or however they got that, when they acquired it from the customer, right? So with that in mind, anything above this cost, even if it's a penny, we're profiting. right? Now, obviously, we want to try and make the biggest kind of profit that we possibly can. Um, so you definitely want to consider different elements on the price cost ratio, right? But think about how much money do you actually have invested in it, right? And then compare that to what everyone else on the internet is selling it for, right? With a single minute worth of research, you can determine that that's probably going to be the most competitive price point for this kind of item on the internet. Now, let's see if I can find a different item like this. Here we go. This is a iPhone 6S. If I do a quick search for this, I'm seeing 72, I'm seeing 91, 84, 100. Okay. Now, what about on Google? That's a deal. Let's see, 100 bucks. That's not the same. 50 bucks, 60 bucks. And if I search for the same thing, see if we can find what this sells for on Amazon. Look, it's right there, that same exact phone. Amazon is selling this exact same phone for $113 with free shipping, right? So if we go back to Bravo, I have $25 invested into this item, right? That means the most competitive price structure that I can, probably think up with this exact item, probably not necessarily going to be 500 bucks. Let's say I want to price this at about 75, right? Because out of eBay, out of Google, out of Amazon, none of those people were selling the same item for that price point, right? The next thing I want to go over is here in the item detail screen. So when this item is online, by having this little web checkbox checked, you're going to be able to edit the web title and the full description here. Now, this web title and the full description are generated by the estimator, but they might not necessarily be what you think would be the most optimal title for this to be online, right? If we compare to what we saw on eBay or what we saw on Google or Amazon, there's a lot of information here that we could just edit out. Like Apple, that's probably going to be a key data point word. People are always going to be searching for Apple, but we know it's a cell phone or smartphone, so we could probably get rid of that, right? And then little bit of adjustment here. I'll say model A1688. Then I can look at my full description. Yes, this is generated by the estimator, but you might not like the way this looks. And it could be advantageous to you to edit it to be more human friendly, right? So by all means, take the time, go through your listings, edit your descriptions, edit your titles, because all of this data all leads up into that one big goal, getting the sale, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about the difference between an in-store price and an online price. Right here, the store price field, that's our in-store price. And our web price, well, that's going to be obviously what it's going to be selling for online once we post it up to Via or to our company branded website, or maybe even eBay, right? So a little bit of competitive thought here also helps. Let's talk a bit about why you would want the store price to be different from the web price. Now, a lot of people who go into the store are going to be used to negotiating with the pawnbroker, right? Negotiating on, hey, you sell this for 75 bucks, but I've got 60 bucks in my pocket. Can I buy it? Right? That's a very common conversation that most pawnbrokers have daily. So a little bit of adjustment here, like let's say I want to put this at 80 bucks, and then my web price, let's say I want to put that at 75, this is actually going to give me a nice little fish hook that I can use for my online customers. I'm actually going to be able to show that this is on sale. It'll even have like a slash through the item with a nice little band. Let me show you what that, let me show you guys what that looks like. Let's actually go over to Baya real quick. And right up here at the very top, see this cell phone? It has this little badge on it. That badge represents that this is essentially discounted. And if I dive in here, or into one of these, this one exactly, I can see that it has that slice and it's showing the 8% off, and it's got that little nice badge on it showing, hey, yeah, this is a discounted item, right? That's one more really nice fish hook that you can use to draw customers in to want to buy this item from you over from someone else, right? Let's actually back up a little bit and go back over here. Now, one of the biggest things that we're going to have to deal with when we deal with e-commerce and selling online is shipping. Shipping is usually a challenge for a lot of stores, but that's okay because there's certain strategies that you can use to make that a bit easier. Currently, Bravo doesn't have any calculated shipping, but what I like to teach people how to do is, if you're unsure how much it would cost you to ship an item, go online to your favorite carrier like FedEx or United States Postal Service. Make sure you sign up for an account on one of those websites and see how much it would cost you to ship this item to the very next state over. And then see how much it would cost you to ship this item to the exact opposite end of the United States. Take those two figures and average them out, and that could be a very good flat rate shipping that at least covers the bulk of what you're dealing with. But at the same time, free shipping. Free shipping is a really big hook. The online customers that like to hunt and really will hunt for a good deal, which there's a lot. One of the biggest hooks they try and find is free shipping, right? So what we can do is maybe just adjust our price points over here in the opposite perspective of what we talked about before. Let's say I want to have this for 75 online, or 75 in store and 80 online. So what that's going to do is it's going to show that the price online is 80 bucks, right? But we've got that free shipping. This is still a very compelling and competitive price point, especially for this item, because we did the research. But it also accounts for our shipping. Not only that, but if I move my window just a little bit over, the amount of money we have invested into this is $25. So even if we are offering free shipping, right, the amount of money that we have invested is still so low that if we did have to eat a little bit on that shipping, well, we're still making profits, right? As long as we don't cross that $25 threshold, we are still profiting. And like I said before, what is the core reason that most pawnbrokers sell inventory? To recoup the money lost from the loans that they came from. So free shipping, good price points, good web titles, nice descriptions, all of these data points all lead to really good, compelling web listings. But there's one more data point out there, well, maybe not necessarily a data point, but one more characteristic that we really need to focus a lot of time and energy on, and that is photos. Photos are the biggest fish hook of all, because most people in today's society, they shop with their eyes. They look first, read second, right? So making sure that your photos are clean, distraction-free, highlighting the actual authentic quality of this real life item, right? The higher of a likelihood that you will have for your online customers to make that purchasing decision. Let's actually go to Bio real quick. Not that one, this one. All right. I want to talk a little bit about photos here. And here on the Bravo, or here on the Bio homepage, we can see all of the top selling categories that appear daily, right? And one of the biggest trends we'll see is people with the essential prettiest photos usually will have those clicks first before they go and look into other listings, right? Photos that are distraction free, like these shoes right here, that is a pretty distraction free photo, but it also highlights the authenticity of those shoes, right? It's clearly a brand new, never before worn pair of shoes. That is totally something that I would buy if I could fit in shoes like that. But maybe something like that. These shoes are just sitting on the sales counter. This photo was clearly taken at the point of the transaction. When customers see that, they might not make that purchase decision versus making that purchasing decision, right? Pretty photos, man. They really do sell. People will buy with their eyes. Now, a lot of stores might not have the setup needed to take those clean, distraction-free photos, but there are strategies that you can use, and really good ones that can really ramp your photo game up. One of the things I like to show people are these photo boxes. These photo boxes can be found all over the internet, whether it's from Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy, buy them anywhere. And this thing costs 20 bucks. If you don't want to invest any money in a $20 light box like this, get some cardboard and some white paper, right? You can make your own custom, DIY version of a photo box and have just as effective photos. So if you have a little photo taking station, you can essentially throw your item in there, either whip out your Bravo Shopkeeper app to take nice photos from the Shopkeeper app, like this gentleman is doing, or if you have a high quality DSLR camera, put that on a tripod. Make sure that tripod is like a good, nice foot back. Maybe keep that on the tripod right there, pointed at that box all the time, so that as you need to take these photos, you take your item, put it in the box, turn on the light if you got a light, then take your quick photo, then turn the image, or not the image, turn the item, take another photo, turn the item a little bit more, and essentially you're making your own type of stock photo, but with the actual item itself, your actual real life item. So all the exact same blemishes on that item are going to appear, right? Authenticity is the key, especially with pawn items, right? So if you can afford to have a nice DSLR camera, by all means whip that out. If not, most cell phones these days have at least a 12 megapixel camera, if not 3-4 times better than that. Those photos are just good enough to take the hardship out of that. That way, you just throw your item in there, whip out the app, bing, bang, boom, take a couple photos, clean, distraction-free, that actual item. Then the app will automatically sync those to the item for you. Or if you are going to use a DSLR camera, find your item, right-click up here, go manage images, then you can simply open up your photos in, like, let's say you open them on a memory card, pop them into your computer. You can click and drag them onto this little black pane here, and that allows you to do multiples. Here, let me show you. If I have some photos that I want to add, I can literally click and drag just like that. If I want them to go away, right click, delete image, right click, delete image. Or let's say you have a really nice webcam. You can hit capture image, choose your webcam, hit get snapshot, and bam, that works too. The key is clean, distraction-free photos. Now, there is another level that we want to consider, and that actually has to do with Google. Now, most customers might not know this, but Bravo, the company, helps propel all of your bio listings through to Google, which kind of means that all of these listings are subject to Google's terms and conditions. I have here a email that is from a Google representative to us that talks about key elements that they look for these kind of listings. And if they feel that your listings aren't necessarily meeting these criteria, simply put, they might decide to not make those advertiser-friendly listings, which could be preventing you from making the sales that you know you need, right? So that's one thing we really want to focus on, right? Is making Google happy, because a happy Google means you make more sales, which means you make more money. So what are the things that we need to avoid? Essentially, things like placeholder images or generic images. Another word for that would be stock images. Not sure if many of you know what a stock photo image is, but it's essentially a photo that was taken to promote the item before it launches to the public. So it's a promotional image that highlights it into its most highest degree. That might not be as authentic. Oops, I hit my mic. That might not be as authentic as we need our listings to be, right? So what does a photo of a stock image look like? Something like this. See this MacBook? You can tell this is a stock photo because the background was digitally removed. Now, if I scroll up a little bit, see this guitar? That is not a stock photo. You know how I can tell? The shadow. This is clearly a photo that was taken of the item in the store, which actually came out pretty nice. That looks like a great listing. A couple of other things that we want to make sure we avoid with our images besides stock images are essentially kind of dirty images, or images that have, or a better way to say that would be images that are not distraction-free. A distraction-free image is just going to have the white background. It doesn't necessarily have to be white, but it'll just have the background. And the only thing that the person who's looking at that image can really focus on is the item in question. A photo that isn't distraction-free would have other things in the photo, like, let's see if we can see some examples on Paya. That is not a distraction-free photo. That is not a distraction-free photo. This, with these shoes, not distraction-free. When I look at this photo, the first thing my eyes shift on is that blue box. Let's see, what else do we have? This is close to a distraction-free photo, but they probably could have used a little bit more, you know, effort to prop that up or something. This is a good attempt, but not a distraction-free photo. That guy's pockets is really compelling to look at. This is actually a stock photo, but I consider this a distraction-free photo. When I look at it, yeah, that is clearly a photo of a knife and its case on the ground, but it's a actually really nice looking backdrop. I don't really care that it's a photo on the ground because the wood is highlighting the wood characteristics of the knife itself. So I'd say that it's probably a nice artistic, good looking photo. Or this. This is not a distraction-free photo. Yes, it highlights the authenticity of the item, but what's that? I shouldn't ask that question. So try and focus on clean, distraction-free photos that really do show the authenticity of your items. Also, don't put any logos or watermarks or backgrounds on your photos as well. All right. Whoops.
Does anybody have any questions yet about selling online or making your listing stronger? It's 11:30, so I want to make sure that we're being respectful of everybody's time.
Yeah, that's really good. Does anyone want to deep dive more into some of these concepts?
Can you mass put a type of item on sale? That's a super good question. Yes. You would go into your inventory ad hoc, and you're going to select all of your particular category. So the status would equal inventory, and then your category would equal whatever category you want to mark down. And then you would run that ad hoc, and you can bulk select, and there's a bulk discount button within that screen. And that's where you're going to do that. And we have a few different ways to discount too. You can do percentage, you can do percentage plus cost. So there's some creative ways that you can bulk discount.
That's right. And there's even the age discount scheduler inside of Bravo, which can discount items automatically for you over a range of dates.
Does that answer that question for you, Abby? Awesome. Okay.
Great.
Any
Now,
other
one of the other core concepts I like talking about is when we're not helping customers, spending a lot of time in the items waiting to be priced section of Bravo, preparing our items for sale, both in store and online, really is going to be like a necessary part of your Bravo day-to-day life, right? Taking the proper effort here to, you know, go over your web titles, go over your full descriptions, think about your pricing, think about your shipping, do some research, go find what are your competitors selling this same item for, right? Also, one thing that I want to go over is how to audit your own store, right? As managers, one of the key things that you guys should be doing is constantly looking at what your online listings look like, finding any red flags, and fixing them. And the simplest way for you to do that is to go into system configuration, click on the buy a button here. What that's going to do is it's going to take you to your store's buy a profile, which that'll load here for me in just a second. Actually, here we go. Here's my store's buy a profile. I can see how many items I've sold, how many I currently have online, and click shop this store. And then literally look at your items as if you were a customer. Now, let me show you guys a pretty interesting trick that goes along with that. Let's look up a store, one of my favorite stores. I'm gonna click find a store down here. I'm gonna search for Las Vegas, and here we are, Maxbon. So I'm gonna click shop this store, and I'm just gonna start looking at our items. These are bulk video games, so that's okay. But we can go through and look at each one of our items and see, how does the web title look? How's the photos look? That is totally not a stock photo. They 100% took that photo, and I am so happy with that photo, just saying. The title looks really good. The price, oh my God, $300 for a T6? That is like an extremely good price for that camera. Extremely competitive, especially on the internet. You will not find that camera at that price anywhere else, right? So look at your listings, go through, see if you can find any red flags. If you find one that maybe the photo isn't that good, then look up that item. If I dive into this item, I can see my inventory number right there. All I have to do is highlight it, hit copy, then dive into Bravo, and literally just go paste that in inventory management. Obviously, that's not my store, so that won't work, but that's how quickly you can get to editing this item. You just look, copy, paste, right? Go through your guys' listings. Do it regularly. I'm not saying doing it every day is really what you want to do, because obviously we're busy, but at least once a week, spending 5 to 20 minutes going through your online listings, looking for any red flags, it's going to do you a lot of good, right? Because if you have a mistake on one item, because we're humans, it happens, you might have a mistake on 2 items. Now, these guys do really good. They take excellent photos. They actually have an entire photo taking booth in the back of their store, and someone whose job is essentially to just take really good photos of items, right? That's another great photo, clearly not a stock photo. Those things, they sell, because when customers go to buy it, they understand what they're looking at. They understand that most of this item is coming from, or most of these items are coming from stores from all over the United States, right? So by auditing our own listings and fixing any problems that we might have, we could be saving a potential customer from making that purchasing decision from someone else and having them purchase that same item from us instead, right? Most pawnbrokers, when they do loans, they're going to give a percentage of what that current item's estimated retail value is, which means that they don't have as much money invested into that item as the big retailers. So when we do go to price it and sell it, either in store or online, the ability for us to make the prettiest, most compelling, most cost affordable and price competitive listing out there is totally within our grasp. And if we did it right and we played the game right, really focus on the strategies of getting each and every item listed online in multiple places, then we're going to see our listings start to go up and our sales start to increase. And then there's the whole aspect of the numbers game. If you have exactly 1,000 items for sale right now in your store, on your sales floor, and 1,000 items in Bravo, you could have those same 1,000 items on Baya, on your own company branded website, on eBay. And if you want to do a little bit more and go a little bit more, on other websites, Now, Bravo has a feature called Bravo to e-commerce, which allows you to quickly post things to Craigslist if you so choose, right? So
Okay.
that means you could have more than 3,000 pages on the internet promoting your store's name, your store's phone number, your store's address, promoting your store in every way. And the internet, if you think about it, is essentially one big giant spider web covering the entire world. And your listings represent your coverage of that spider web, right? And what's the point of the spider web? To catch the fly.
Okay,
Fly
Steve,
being the customer.
that's perfect. I'm going to cut you off there. We have a few questions going on in the thread. I want to make sure that they get answered before anybody jumps off.
Great, let's
First
get into that.
thing is that the more items that you list on Viya, we feed all of that into Google, Bing, and Yahoo every single day. And we make advertisements, product listing ads on your behalf. And Viya sales and web visits right now is up 30%. So people are at home, people are shopping, and now's the time to go ahead and list as much inventory as possible. If you do not have your categories as defaulted on to list, we can help you with that so that you don't even actually have to click that button. They'll automatically just go online. Another thing that I wanted to let you know is that starting today, you can list firearms on your company branded websites again. So you need Blue Dog for that, and you need HTTPS. Both of those things you can submit a case for, and we can help you out with both of those things. And once you get both of those, you can start listing right away. Anthony had a question about making your company branded site the categories that show specific to your store. So maybe you like to do a lot of firearms and you don't like the categories that we're pre-populating for you. Just submit a case and we can recategorize those items for you. We can do that on the back end. So those are a few of the questions that we got. How do we currently find out what's the most best selling items across all items in Bravo? So that's going to be in the e-commerce report. But what I can do for you all is I will pull for the last 3 weeks of what the most commonly bought items are happening online, because I'm sure, I mean, I know that it's shifted to a lot of game consoles and video games, laptops, things that are conducive to staying at home. And so I will grab a list of that, of what's selling the most, and I'll post it in the events thread for this so that you know what's selling the best right at this particular moment. Are there any other questions? Anthony, did that answer all of your questions that you had? Okay, does the direct listing from Bravo into Craigslist go to our local Craigslist only? So you actually, Bravo, when you go to Bravo to e-commerce, it's gonna generate the listing in the HTML for you. So you're gonna copy that and paste it wherever you want it. So you're gonna paste it into your local Craigslist, and then it will show for your local Craigslist only. Other questions? Billy, did that make sense? Hopefully that made sense. Other questions, comments? No, you're not. You're not a computer idiot. Okay. We're going to wrap this webinar up. I know y'all are busy selling things. And if you have additional questions or comments about e-commerce, you can always submit a case or email me, and I'll usually funnel those to Steve-O. We're going to be doing an advanced e-commerce to deep dive a little bit more. There's just so much to cover with e-commerce. It's hard to do it in 30 minutes and now 45 minutes. So we'll do another one of these. And we can help troubleshoot listings with you, or if you feel like you're not getting the traffic that you want, we can try to help with that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. So if you have any questions, stick around for a few minutes, but if not, thanks for being here. And we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's is gonna be on the scrap refining process. So if you're not intimately aware or trained on how to use the scrap refining process, or if you feel like you're not getting increased yield from using the scrap refining process, then join us tomorrow, Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific. Thank you.